Hey, this is Bryce Tubbs, and in this training, I'm going to show you how to get to 10K per month in sales in less than 90 days. Let's jump right in. So this training is for accounting professionals, and this is really for two types of accounting professionals. It's for what I call beginners and newbies. Let me just break that down. So a beginner is somebody who's already in business, maybe between about 1 to 5 clients, but beginners tend to have extremely low dollar amount clients, and growing their business feels really hard and it feels very complex. They don't know exactly what to do. It's almost like always fighting an uphill battle. Generally, the beginners are trying to figure out how to get higher value clients without having to make extremely drastic changes, without having to hire people, and without having to spend a lot of money on advertisements. So basically, how do we just tune what you're already doing and make it so that you can make more money, but do the same amount of work, and really maybe even get a lot less effort inside? Now, this training is also for newbies. Now, newbies are people inside of the 9 to 5 world. Maybe they're in corporate life or the startup, and maybe they're doing freelancing or they have 1 or 2 freelancing clients, but they know if those clients went away, their revenue would go to zero, and they don't really know how to go out and get actual clients. Now, everything's coming through word of mouth or referral websites, but they just don't know how to get clients cold from the marketplace. And you're really trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I de-risk becoming a real business and having clients that I can get at will and on demand to grow and scale my business? So if that's you, then this is going to be super valuable. So stick around and pay attention. However, this is not a get-rich-quick, make-money online scheme. This is not about unethical hacks and things like that. This is about getting a very quick, sustainable, effective, ethical path to getting to this goal and this result, so we can build a sustainable business, something that can last the test of time. We can work on it for years and have fun while doing it and growing it. This is also not for people who are already doing $20,000 a month in sales or more. If you are, that is awesome, but this training won't be as relevant to you. But I'd love to stay in touch. Maybe we can work together in the future at some point, but for now, this just is not going to be as relevant to you. So let's jump right into this. So how to get to 10K per month? How do we get there? Now, you really just need 3 key things in your business. So in order to get to 10K per month, there's 3 things that are really important. So step number 1, we got to have our value-based offer. This is allowing us to escape the exact number of transactions we do, and we can start raising our price. Number 2, we need a very predictable source of leads. This is incredibly important. We need to know exactly where our money is going to be coming from before we start exerting our energy, or else it's going to lead to us wasting a lot of time and making a lot of mistakes and leading to a lot of frustration. Now, third thing, we need a very repeatable sales process. We basically need to start having the same exact conversations over and over and over again, because once you find exactly what works, you want to start replicating that. It just makes it so much easier, and you don't have to keep making mistakes, and sales becomes fun. Now, let's just talk a little bit about me. So, my track record. Before I figured this out, we got started in our business probably about 6.5 years ago. Now, when I first started, it was incredibly difficult. It was difficult for a lot of reasons. The first reason, because we were doing everything in person. We were going to networking events. We were mailing out flyers. We were knocking on business doors in cities near our location, driving from city to city, trying to just get that foot traffic going so we could get people to say yes. We would get calls and consultations with people, but they would want us to drive an hour to go meet them inside of their physical location. We'd be sitting in their office or in their lobby. They'd be looking at us through their window, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Bobby is busy today, so maybe we can schedule something up for next week." And it would just be terrible. When we finally got some people to say yes, they would only want to pay us about $150, $300 per month. It was so hard. It just didn't make sense. And for me and my business partner, we were making a pretty good amount of money back at our corporate job. So when you're starting your business, you don't really have any success. People aren't really wanting to pay. I think the most we ever made that first year in business was about $2,000 was our biggest month, and $1,700 of that came from one cleanup that was covering a 2-year period. It was just ridiculous. We just couldn't get people to pay us any money. So unfortunately, we couldn't pay our bills with our business alone. So we had to go back into corporate America for about 1.5 years. Now, that year and a half, it was actually worse than struggling to build our business. The reason why was because when we first started, we quit our job cold turkey. We were just so excited to get started. We just knew that we could get everything going, but then it didn't work out. So I had to come back to that job. I basically had to go beg the powers that be to allow me to go back into the corporate job. And when we went back, everybody knew that we had quit our jobs. And it was always, oh, hey, you started the business. How's the business going? Or you're that entrepreneur guy. I thought you quit. Why are you back? And they would always ask me about it. It was just constantly kicking dirt back into my wound. And because when you're starting a business, everybody thinks that you go from $0 to $1 million overnight. But oftentimes when you don't know what you're doing, it's not the case. That went on for months, all the way to the point where I stopped being embarrassed. I actually started getting angry. I wasn't angry at them because it wasn't their fault, but I got angry because I just couldn't make it work. I saw all these people in these different Facebook groups, and they were like, I just got a client, just got my 5th client, I just started last month, I got another client. And it was just like, I had been trying for a whole year to get people to pay me money, and all these people were just starting their business and finding success. So I had to go back to the drawing board. I had to learn how to price my services. I had to learn marketing, do trial and error. I made so many posts. I talked to so many people online until I really started figuring it out. And once I started figuring it out, that's when things really started to be more consistent for me. I mean, the first year that we really got this going was mid-2018 to 2019. That's really when things started working. As you can see, like, my income finally went from like $3,500 to about $45,000. We leveled out, but right around September, that's when you start seeing that it started growing. And it wasn't by luck. It was like all the different struggles and all the different things that I had been trying for all of 2018 started to snowball. That's when we started getting people coming out of the woodworks. And it wasn't due to tax season or anything. We learned strategically how to go and make friends with people who have money, who end up wanting our help and wanting to pay us. It was no longer about if someone was going to pay us. It was more about how much were they going to pay us and were they ready to get started today. We started getting clients for $1,500, $3,000. We got a really big client for about $9,000 a month for our virtual CFO service. But it just started becoming so consistent. And that's when you really see that growth from that $4,000 a month all the way up to about $15,000. And that was right around January of 2019. It just kept going and it kept being consistent. What that allowed me to do was it allowed me to start traveling a little bit more. Because when I was working in the accounting field, I couldn't take vacations. Every time I wanted to take vacation, I'd have to go and explain to my boss. I would have to beg for some time off. And I would always feel guilty because everybody else was inside the office working and I was on the vacation. But once I figured it out, I knew I didn't have to rely on the job anymore. I got so much freedom. I got so much confidence. Everything just started being a little bit more ease with my life. And there was a lot less struggle. I got to go to the Indianapolis 500. That was something that I really wanted to do for a long time. And I got to go to Puerto Rico. I got to go hiking in mountains. It was a lot different. But enough about me. Let's dig into these steps so you can do something similar for yourself. All right. So number 1, a value-based offer. This is all about making sure that we understand exactly what business owners value. And being able to explain how we can help them out in a way that even lay people can understand. Generally, if you're struggling to get clients and you've been on a bunch of consultations and just not saying yes, there's generally some confusion that has been going on inside. You might hear things like, well, I can go pay this person up the street to go do the exact same service for $10 an hour, $15 an hour. And you're like, wait, but I have maybe 1 year experience all the way to 25 years of experience. And people are not respecting that. That's because the value that we're talking is not resonating with them. And when it doesn't resonate, they think that you're a lot less skilled than what you are. Now, the key word there is skills. In order to start charging that $750 to $3,000 plus per month, you got to be able to start communicating your skill sets. Now, without skill sets, it might feel like you're trying to find that needle in the haystack. You're going from person to person to person, trying to find the client that's going to value you and they're going to pay you that better sum of money. but it's very hard. You're going to always be looking for the person who either doesn't have a bookkeeper or doesn't have an accountant or a CPA. Now, when you can start communicating that skill set, you start attracting clients. People start finding ways to work with you. They start finding different pools of money that they can give to you. For example, if you are working with dentists, chiropractors, or therapists, generally they will have some sort of office admin or biller. But they're going to be doing the basic accounting work and the basic bookkeeping, and the person who owns the business just thinks that anybody can just do the accounting and the bookkeeping, so we don't have to go get a specialist. Now, when you can come and talk to that person and communicate those skill sets, they're going to, ooh, my office admin obviously is not skilled in that area. That's why we've been having all these problems here. I didn't understand why we're having these problems because I thought anyone can do it. So how about Miss Susie? Let's say your name is Susie. How about I just allow you to take over the accounting and the bookkeeping functions and facets, and I'll have the office admin focus on billing and some of the sales aspect. Cool. Now you just got a client between $750 and $3,000 per month, all because you're able to communicate that skill set and we start talking about value. That's the magic right there. Now, step number 2. We need to go and build our online marketing presence. Now, this is all about generating leads, but also filtering out bad fits. There is nothing more discouraging than when you're trying to raise your price, you finally get some confidence going, and you're like, okay, I can start charging $500 to $1,000 a month. You get on the phone, and the person goes, ooh, yeah, there's no way I'm going to do that. I was expecting to pay $105 because that's just what I'm used to. The number one way to get around that is by filtering those people out before they ever get on the phone with you. You don't want to be talking to those people who don't value what you do. So the number one way I was able to really master marketing is by developing a process called the social referral. Now, this is all about getting people and platforms to send you high quality referrals. This is incredibly important. When you have other people who are vetting out those leads for you, it allows you to do 2 things. 2 things is really going to help this process. 1 is credibility, and 2 is urgency. So what happens when we're first starting out in our business, or if we've been struggling to get clients, it's because we either go into a situation very cold, meaning the person doesn't know anything about you. So the consultation is almost like they're trying to get to a feel for who you are, they're trying to vet out your skill sets, and they're trying to evaluate whether or not they want your help now. And it actually starts feeling more like a job interview rather than a consultation of someone who's wanting to work with you. Now, you can go around that by utilizing the other person's credibility. This is all about getting influential business owners to start sending you the correct leads. These people have spent the last 10, in some cases even 30 years, building up their Rolodex of their contacts. They know exactly who's who in the community, or whether it's online community or your local community. People come to them for advice and wanting their help and their expertise. Now, they start sending leads to you. Now, once you start getting that, people stop asking the question of, well, do you have references? Can I speak to 3 of your past clients? How do I know if you're any good at this? All those weird objections you get at the end of your call start going away because they trust the person who sent the referral to you. Now, the prospect just means someone who's on the phone with you who hasn't paid you money yet. It becomes a lot easier. More becomes a conversation between friends, because you're borrowing that credibility and that built-up friendship and history from your referral partner to the person you're speaking with. Now, the second thing that's very important here is about urgency. Oftentimes, if you're trying to sell somebody, but they don't see why they need to move now, that's when you start getting those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 long conversations and long sales processes where you have to constantly fight and constantly beg for people to end up filling out your invoice and paying you money. And one call that you got on January ends up taking through December of the same year in order to pay you money, and it's generally pretty cheap. Instead, if you start learning how to get urgency inside of your marketing presence, that's when you start getting the one call closes, where on the first call, the person's like, hey, I know I need your help right now. I don't really care exactly how much it costs, as long as it's within reason. Let's take care of this. Can we get this going now? Because I really don't want to think about this anymore. Number one way to do that is, again, the social referral process. Because these influential business owners, not only are you borrowing their credibility, but before they've sent the referral to you, they've been hyping up your service. They're talking to the prospect saying, hey, you don't have an accounting professional helping you out here? And you're trying to grow your business to the next level? You don't have a blueprint for exactly where you're going? Like all these little things, how do you know where you're going if you don't have an accounting professional helping you out? You need to do this now. So then when the prospect gets on the phone with you, they've already been just bombarded with their friends saying why they need to buy your service now in order to get to the next level or to hit their future goals a lot easier. That's when things get a lot easier. So now you have the credibility and you have the urgency built up from that referral partner, and things become so much easier. You start getting better quality calls. You start getting those business owners you actually want to talk to, who are doing a really good amount of revenue. They have a high amount of transactions. They know what they want. They're ready to go. They're focused on their business, and they're not playing games. That's exactly who you want. Now, the third thing that you need is that sales process. Now, I understand, as an accounting professional, whether you're a CPA, you're a EA, bookkeeper, generally sales can tend to be kind of scary, especially if you're like introverted and you're just not good at it. Now, for me, it was so painful when I was trying to learn sales. I didn't have a flow. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know why people weren't signing up. So what I had to do was I had to start reverse engineering successful people in sales. So nowadays, whenever I work with someone one-on-one or with our private coaching, it's all about showing them success. So I show them past clients, even myself on sales calls, exactly what to say. So I show you videos strictly of like, okay, so this is what the person said from start to finish, all the way to the payment. Here's why it worked. And then I also show you videos where the person did not get the sale. And I break down specifically what happened. Okay, so here's where you lost the person. Here's exactly where the price broke down. This is exactly why they asked for references. Here's why they said they need to think about it. Here's why they ended up not going with you in the whole place. And once you really understand that process of sales and you understand exactly what is success, how do you get someone to pay you $3,000 a month? How do you get someone to go from saying no and at the end of the call they say yes? Once you understand and you master this sales, that's when your business really starts to be able to start leveraging a lot of those consultations. Generally, when you're starting out and you're struggling, we tend to not want a lot of consultations because we can't handle it. But once you're in alignment with your sales, and you let every single person that gets on the phone with you is either going to pay you now or they're going to pay you in the future, that's when you get confidence. That's when you don't need as many leads. That's when you can start getting those higher quality leads, higher quality consultations, and they just start saying yes. That's why the client Eileen, you saw one of her screenshots earlier in this presentation. She got 5 clients to say yes and pay her in 1 week. She's an introvert. She didn't know sales before we got started. It's all because once you know exactly how to say things, why this stuff works, why your sales are not working, you just keep repeating it over and over again, and now you have this higher quality people, and it's so much easier. Sales goes from being scary and very intimidating to just having a conversation between friends, and the friend just so happens to have money, happens to have the need, and happens to trust you enough to get started with you today. That's when things get a lot easier, and that's when you stop struggling in your business and you start hitting that 10K mark with some consistency. So next steps. So you might be thinking, wow, this is fantastic. Or maybe your mind is reeling. Or maybe you have some questions. Maybe you're skeptical. Whatever you might be feeling right now, I hope that this has been really helpful. I hope that you've gotten some clarity and you're feeling like, wow, this would be, if I just knew how to do this, this would be really helpful. I feel like this would work. You might be thinking like, wow, Bryce, you just made this feel really simple. It seems almost maybe too simple, but the devil is in the details. That's the key. There's nuances to doing this and doing this well. So if you want to talk about doing more, and I know that your business is unique, I know that your situation is unique. Unfortunately, I can't give you a custom tailored plan and strategy inside of this video. I wish that I could, but I have to do this video in a way that's going to really resonate with a large number of different people. So if you want more specific recommendations, like specific advice, I would love to invite you to simply book a call with me. On that call, we're going to look at your specific situation. We look at what you're doing now, revenue-wise, how you're generating leads, what's your price point, where are you at revenue-wise and your goals, and then how are you trying to get there right now. And then if I think that I can help you, what I'll do is I'll share some detailed recommendations for you that are tailored to your situation. I'll say, look, here's where you can get some massive gains. Also, here's what to avoid. Like, don't do this. Don't worry about that. You should be worrying more about this. And we can come up with a tailored action plan for you. If you come on the call, it's not going to be some sort of high-pressure sales pitch. I'm not going to try and strong-arm you and sell you on working with me. What we're going to do first is focus on giving you advice, giving you that action plan. And then, if that action plan resonates with you, we can explore and discuss what it would be like to work together. Now, working with me is not cheap. There is a bit of an investment. But if I do feel like there's a mutual fit, if I'm like, wow, I really like this person, I like their energy, their attitude, I think they can actually do this. I always make things accessible and affordable to the people that I want to work with. But I can't work with everyone. This isn't like buying something off of Amazon or off the rack at the mall or something like that. I only have a narrow band of slots. I work with my clients in a private coaching model where I bring on anywhere from 5 to 10 clients typically in a month. And I work really closely with them, hand in hand, so that I can maintain results and make sure they're getting consistently the results and the outcomes that they're caring about. And so if you're in that beginner stage and you're doing okay, but you feel like you're really not hitting the mark when it comes to marketing and sales, and you're saying to yourself, I really want to get more of an intermediate level or at least have some mastery here. And I think that if I can get that mastery, I can go on and get $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 a month without making drastic changes to my business. If that sort of story resonates with you, then this is for you. If you're a newbie and you want to be like, how can I de-risk getting into business, getting my first clients and doing this, making this work? Whether I'm working a 9-to-5 job or I'm freelancing for a few clients and I don't want to rock the boat with what I'm doing, this is also for you. Come on the call with me. This will probably be the most profitable, most valuable conversation that you'll have. And again, if we both don't feel like there's a fit, no harm, no foul. You can go on and we can part as friends and you'll just have a really great plan to give you some advice on moving forward. But if I do feel like there's a fit, I'll definitely let you know. I'll say, hey, I really think this is a great fit. Why don't you come on board with me? Don't reinvent the wheel. Let me just give you what I've done. I've given you the short-circuited, sustainable, ethical path. All you have to do is just plug it in here, plug it in there. I'll tell you exactly what not to do, what to avoid, what to focus on, and really help you get where you want to go in a much shorter period of time. Probably the fastest, quickest way possible. So, I think you get the point. Thanks so much for your time and your attention. I really hope that this plan has been relevant and helpful to you. Go on ahead and book a call. There should be a link on this page below. Book that call and we will talk soon. Thanks so much. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.